I worked night audit at a Hampton Inn for exactly 11 days. It was supposed to be easy money, midnight to 8 a.m., Wednesday through Saturday. The manager told me most nights I'd just watch Netflix and fold some towels. Maybe check in a late arrival or two. The hotel was off I-40, one of those exits with just a gas station and a Waffle House. Built in 2008, so not old enough to have a history or anything. Just generic and beige and exactly like every other Hampton Inn you've ever seen. My first week was fine. Boring, actually. I'd do the audit paperwork around 2 a.m., print reports, reconcile the register. Then I'd sit at the desk and watch The Office until the breakfast lady came in at 6. It was the second Wednesday that things felt off. Around 3 a.m., the elevator started going up and down. Not constantly, just occasionally. I'd hear the ding, watch the numbers light up on the panel above the desk. 3rd floor, 2nd floor, lobby, then back up. Nobody ever got out. I checked the camera feed. The elevator was empty every time. I mentioned it to the breakfast lady when she came in. She just laughed and said, "Oh, it does that." Then she went to set up the waffle station. Thursday night, same thing. Elevator running. I tried to ignore it, but then I noticed something else. Room 318 kept calling the front desk. The phone would ring, I'd answer, "Front desk, this is Morgan," and there'd be silence, not even breathing, just open air. Then they'd hang up. It happened 4 times that night, always room 318. I checked the system. Room 318 was vacant. Had been vacant for 3 days. I walked up there during my rounds just to look. I stood outside the door for a minute. I don't know what I was expecting. The door was closed. The little light above the peephole was off, like it should be when a room's empty. I used my master key anyway. The room was freezing, and I mean freezing. The AC was off, but I could see my breath. The beds were made. Everything looked normal, except for the temperature and the smell. It smelled like pool water, chlorine, but stale. We didn't even have a pool. I checked the thermostat. It said 74 degrees. I left and locked the door behind me. Friday night, I almost called in sick, but I needed the money, so I showed up. The elevator thing happened again, and room 318 called 6 times. The 6th time, I didn't hang up right away. I just held the phone and listened. After maybe 20 seconds, I heard water. Not running water, more like someone moving around in a bathtub. That specific sloshing sound. I hung up and called my manager. It went to voicemail. I left a message about the phone calls and said I thought maybe there was a wiring issue. Around 5 a.m., I was printing the occupancy report when I noticed room 318 was listed as occupied. I pulled up the reservation. It showed a check-in for that day, Thursday at 11:47 p.m. Guest name. No name listed. No credit card, no ID scan, no arrival notes. But I was at the desk all night. Nobody checked in. I went back through the door logs. Room 318's door hadn't been opened since housekeeping cleaned it Monday morning. When the manager came in at 9 a.m., I showed her everything. The calls, the reservation that shouldn't exist, the door logs. She got this look on her face. Not confused, not concerned, just tired. "Morgan, I'm going to level with you," she said. "This hotel has some weird shit going on with that room. Corporate knows. We've had 3 night auditors quit over it. If you can just ignore it, the job is yours. If you can't, I understand, but I need to know now." I asked her what happened in that room. She said nobody died there or anything like that. As far as she knew, nothing bad had ever happened. It just does this. The calls, the cold, the phantom reservations. "Sometimes guests complain about hearing water running," she added. "We always move them to a different room and comp their stay. It's handled." I worked one more shift, Saturday night. Room 318 called 9 times. The elevator ran constantly. and around 4 a.m. I heard it. Water. Running somewhere above me. Like a bathtub filling. I didn't go check. I just sat at the desk and waited for my shift to end. I texted the manager Sunday morning and said I wouldn't be coming back. She replied, "Understood. Your check will be mailed." I drove past that hotel a few months ago. There was a new night auditor at the desk, some kid, probably 19 or 20. He looked bored. I wonder how long he'll last. Back in the 2005, I worked circulation desk at the campus library during grad school. It was a work-study position, mostly quiet, decent pay, and I could study between shelving returns. I worked Monday and Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. The library closed at midnight, but someone had to stay to process the Dropbox returns and shelve them before the morning shift. After midnight, it was just me and one security guard who did rounds. The Dropbox was outside the main entrance, a big metal slot where people could return books after hours. It had a cart underneath that collected them. Every night around 12:30, I'd go out and wheel the cart back inside to process returns. Most nights it was pretty standard. Textbooks, novels, DVDs, whatever. I'd scan them back into the system, check for damage, sort them onto carts for shelving. On a Wednesday in late October, I wheeled the cart in and started processing. About halfway through the stack, I scanned a book and got an error message I'd never seen before. Item status: lost. Assumed destroyed. 1983. The book was called Structural Engineering Fundamentals, 2nd edition. Red cloth cover, pretty beat up, spine cracked. It smelled like smoke. I checked the error message again. The system said the book had been marked as destroyed in a fire in 1983, but our library was built in 1995. I knew because there was a dedication plaque in the lobby. I asked the security guard, Tom, if he knew anything about a fire. Before this library, there was another building here, he said. Administrative offices or something. It burned down in the early 80s. That's why they built the library here. I showed him the book. He looked at it for a long time. Weird. You gonna keep it or toss it? I decided to keep it and asked my supervisor about it in the morning. I put it aside and finished processing the rest of the returns. The next week, Wednesday night, another one showed up in the Dropbox. Introduction to Organic Chemistry, 4th edition. Blue cover, same smoky smell, same error message. Lost, assumed destroyed, 1983. And then the week after that, American Literature Survey, Volume 2. Same smell. Same error message. They kept coming, one book every week or two, always in the Wednesday night Dropbox, always from the same era, late 70s, early 80s, always marked as destroyed in 1983. I started keeping them in a box under the circulation desk instead of trying to process them. After about 6 weeks, I had 5 books. I asked Tom if he remembered anything else about the fire. Not really, he said. It was before my time here. I just know the building that was here before burned down. Some kind of accident. I went to the university archives during my day off and looked up information about the fire. November 4th, 1983. Administrative and Faculty Services Building. Electrical fire started around 2 a.m. Building was a total loss. 3 people died. 2 custodians and 1 grad student who'd been working late. The building had housed some faculty offices and a small departmental library for the engineering school. I stared at the list of materials lost in the fire. Hundreds of books, all listed. I cross-referenced with the books I'd been collecting. Every single one was on the list. That Wednesday night, I decided to watch the Dropbox. The library closed at midnight. I told Tom I was going to sit in the lobby and study instead of going to the back office. At around 12:50, I heard it. The metal clang of the Dropbox opening, then the thud of a book landing in the cart. I walked over to the door and looked out the window. Nobody was outside. I went out and checked the cart. There was one book sitting on top of the pile I'd emptied earlier that evening. Calculus, Theory and Applications, brown cover, smoke smell. I took it inside and scanned it. Lost, assumed destroyed. 1983. I added it to my box. 6 books now. I didn't tell anyone. I kept working my shifts. The books kept appearing about once a week. In February, I found a dedication plate inside one of them. The handwriting was neat, old-fashioned. Property of B. Benson. If found, please return to Engineering Library, Room 4. I looked up B. Benson in the university archives. It was Benjamin Benson, graduate student, civil engineering. Died in the 1983 fire, age 26. He'd been working late in the engineering library when the fire started. I stopped collecting the books after that. I'd shelve them when they appeared, but I didn't look too closely at them anymore. I didn't check the error messages. I just scanned them as damaged to clear them from the system and put them in the discard pile. My supervisor asked me once why we were getting so many damaged books on Wednesday nights. No idea, I said. They just show up that way. I graduated in May and quit the library job. Before I left, I went down to the basement where they keep the discard bins before donation pickups. I found the box with all the Wednesday night books. There were 33 of them. I left them there. Some time ago, I worked mall security for about 6 months in one of those mid-tier suburban malls that's half-empty stores and half phone case kiosks. The overnight shift was me and one other guard, rotating between monitoring cameras and doing physical rounds. My rounds were at 11, 1, 3, and 5 a.m. Part of the round checklist was counting mannequins in certain stores. I know it sounds weird, but apparently they're expensive and people steal them. The mall has an insurance thing, so I'd count, write the number on my sheet, move on. Most stores had between 3 and 8 mannequins. You get familiar with the counts pretty fast. Victoria's Secret had 6. Forever had 12. The Gap had 4. Bella's Boutique had 7. Bella's was one of those places that sells flowy dresses and crystals and has that specific incense smell. It had been there for years, way longer than most mall stores last. The 7 mannequins were always arranged the same way. 3 in the front window, 4 along the back wall near the fitting rooms. I did this count every night for 3 weeks without issue. Then on a Thursday in September, my 1 a.m. round, I counted 8 mannequins in Bella's. I stopped and recounted. Definitely 8. 3 in the window, 5 in the back. I checked my sheet from the 11 o'clock round. I'd written down 7. I figured maybe I miscounted earlier. I corrected it to 8 and kept moving. At 3 a.m. I counted again. 7 mannequins. 3 in the window, 4 in the back. I stood there staring at my clipboard. 11 p.m. 7. 1 a.m. 8. 3 a.m. 7. I walked back to the security office and pulled up the camera feed for Bella's. We had one camera that covered the front entrance and window display. I rewound to 11 p.m. Counted the mannequins in the window on the screen. 3. Fast forwarded to 1 a.m. Still 3 in the window. 3 a.m. 3 in the window. The camera couldn't see the back of the store, so I couldn't check those. But the window count stayed consistent. So where did the 8th mannequin come from? I mentioned it to the other guard, Marcus, when I got back to the office. "Oh, Bella's does that," he said, not even looking up from his phone. I asked what he meant. "The mannequin count changes sometimes. It's been doing it for years. Don't worry about it. Just write down whatever you count and keep moving." I asked if he'd ever figured out why. "Nope, and I don't want to know." He finally looked at me. "Serious advice? Just count them, write it down, don't think about it." I tried to follow that advice, but I started paying more attention. The count was usually 7, but sometimes, maybe once a week, it would be 8 during one round, then back to 7 the next. The extra mannequin was always in the back, near the fitting rooms, never in the window. I started taking photos on my phone during rounds just to prove to myself I wasn't miscounting. October 12th, 1 a.m. I counted 8, took a photo. There was definitely a mannequin I didn't recognize, shorter than the others, wearing a blue dress, positioned slightly apart from the group. October 12th, 3 a.m., counted 7. The mannequin in the blue dress was gone. I went back to the security office and compared my 1 o'clock photo to the 3 o'clock count. In the photo, the blue dress mannequin was there. In person, 2 hours later, it wasn't. I pulled up the camera feed and watched the 2 hours in between at 16 times speed. Nobody entered the store. The gate was closed and locked. Nothing moved. But somehow, a mannequin disappeared. I decided to sit in the camera blind spot during my 3 a.m. round one night. Just stand in the back corner of Bella's and watch. At 2:47 a.m., I positioned myself behind a display rack where I could see the back mannequins, but the camera couldn't see me. There were 8 mannequins. I'd counted during my 1 a.m. round. I stood there in the dark, watching. At 2:58 a.m., one of them shifted. Not like it fell or tipped. It just repositioned itself. One moment it was angled slightly left, the next it was facing straight ahead. I held my breath. At 3:03 a.m., the one in the blue dress took a step backward. Not fell, not slid. It lifted one leg and stepped back, then went still again. Over the next 10 minutes, it slowly walked backward into the fitting room area, took another step, and was gone. Just gone. I stood there until 3:20, then quietly left the store and went back to the security office. Marcus was there, watching camera feeds. "You good?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "You went into Bella's?" "Yeah." "Did you see it move?" I nodded. He sighed. "Man, I told you not to think about it." I asked if he knew what they were. "No idea," he said, "and the mall doesn't want to know either." The owner of Bella's has been here since the mall opened in 1986. She knows. She's never said anything about it, so we don't say anything either. I kept working there for another 3 months. I kept counting the mannequins, sometimes 7, sometimes 8. I stopped looking too closely at which one was the extra. On my last shift, I did my final round at 5 a.m. I was walking past Bella's when I saw my jacket. I'd left it in the break room earlier that night. It was a pretty distinctive jacket, green corduroy, vintage, with a patch on the sleeve. One of the mannequins in the back was wearing it. I didn't go in to get it. I finished my round, clocked out, and drove home. I never went back for my last paycheck. They mailed it to me,